Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday evening for me. I don't know what time it is where you are, but let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you because it's really tricky to try and get the times right to be good for everybody. So I'm doing my best, and so far, this seems to be the more popular time. Okay, I have my cuppa. I have Earl Grey tea tonight. I thought we would talk about something that's actually quite dear to my heart when it comes to healing in any way, shape, or form. Now, I discovered the idea of incorporating metaphysical belief systems and things like that, and strange things into healing back when I was trying to sort my thyroid out. And I'd covered every kind of physical thing, modality, diet, lifestyle that I could possibly cover. And it wasn't until one day I, for fun, like added crystals to my, I had this crystal, it was a sodalite, and that's when things changed. Now, I'm not saying it was the crystal that changed things, but I think that we get so hung up on trying so hard to fix the physical because that's quantitative, right? We can quantify our physical efforts. We can count them, we can view them, we can feel them. But looking into our belief systems and our traumas and our emotions and all that kind of thing that might be behind the disease and contributing to it or stopping you from getting your way out of that disease has to be looked at. That's one thing I've learned over the years is that if you don't look at that side of things, then you're never going to heal, right? That's just my belief. But I thought it'd be fun tonight. What I've done today is I've got lots of different books, and this isn't new information, right? Having metaphysical reasons for behind disease. And in case you don't think that's a real thing, how many people out there have cured themselves of cancer from watching funny movies and from forgiving people in their life and things like that, right? How do you explain that kind of thing if you don't believe that there's a metaphysical reason behind some things? As I said, I don't believe that it's the entire reason. Maybe it is, but I think it's a mind, body, soul approach. When we want to help ourselves in any way, we can't just throw all the stuff at the physical side of things. As easy as that is, and as controllable as that feels, and that's why we do it, right? Because doing the physical stuff, we can control that, and we can feel good about that. But facing our demons and facing our shadows and facing the things that make us sad and ashamed and all those things, that's the hard thing to do. Nobody wants to do that, right? So what I did today, I went through some of the books that I've got on this, and there is a lot of them out there. So you just have to Google it and you'll find any kind of metaphysical reason you want behind any issues that you have. And I went through and I wrote a list of all the really common things for lipedema that might come up and what the metaphysical reason is behind it. So, see if any of them. I'm going to move this over here and this over here so that I can read it and still see if anyone asks me. So, feel free to ask me any questions, as in if you have. Sorry, trying to get this the right way. If you have a symptom that you can't figure out, and even if you're watching this on replay after it's been live, put it in the comments and I will tell you the metaphysical reason through all the books that I've got. So I started with the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system it represents our ability to defend ourselves from threats, either real or imagined. So let's face it, these days we can just imagine stuff that's going wrong in our life. It may not be, but we overthink things. And that in itself is a threat to our lymphatic system. Okay, lymph problems. A warning that the mind needs to be recentered on the essentials of life, which are joy and love. Inflammation, a big one for lipedema. Unable or unwilling to let go of the past and a fear of change. Chronic inflammation, which we have, and I know I definitely can fall into that category, having both thyroid disease and lipedema. That's a chronic inflammatory diseases, two of them. Lack of forgiveness for those who have harmed us, including ourselves. So, we like to put blame and things on other people, but unless we look at how we're being mean to ourselves and how we're not supporting ourselves or respecting ourselves, then that can often be the bigger key here. All right, so that's for chronic inflammation. Chronic diseases, so I've got two: a refusal to change, fear of the future, and not feeling safe. Holding fluid, what are you afraid of losing? Is the question when you're holding fluid. Lymphedema, afraid to let go of the hurt for fear it will happen again. And please let me know in the comments if any of these resonate with you, because some of them, not all of them do for me, but some of them absolutely do. And when you look at things like this is just a good way of looking at how you start to heal traumas and belief systems that you have that may have come from somewhere really random, overhearing something that you didn't have in context as a kid, and you've made a belief system out of that, right? So it's not always about there's something wrong with you. It's just, as children, we hear things that make no sense to us, and we generally develop belief systems that aren't correct, right? So lymphedema, back to lymphedema, afraid to let go of the hurt for fear it will happen again. Lipedema, lack of joy in life, a belief that I am worthless and have no redeeming qualities. There is no way to change who I am, so I'm stuck here as is. Why should I even bother trying anything? Nothing I do ever works for me. That's a big one for lipedema, right? Lipomas, so they're the fatty deposits that can come along with lipedema and different issues with lipedema. Physical manifestation of thought patterns that say it is not okay for me to live life joyously. Muscle pain, aching to be nurtured or soothed. Arm pain, unable or unwilling to carry the load any longer. Legs, they represent carrying us forward in life. Leg problems, a fear of the future and not wanting to move forward. Bruising, bumps in life, self-punishment. Cellulitis, so that can happen very swiftly with people with lipedema. Unrecognized suppression of profound grief and feeling like a victim, yet also feeling responsible for the tragedies in life. Chronic confusion, so this is the brain fog and the different things like that. A habitual repetition of negative thoughts or believing the constant criticism from our loved ones. Too many people to please. We're people pleasers, right? Okay, cysts, lumps and bumps, convinced we are not worthy, full stop. Cracked heels, that's a common sort of issue with many lipedema women, and that's depriving self of enjoyment. So there's a lot of lack of joy stuff going on here, right? Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a common side issue for lipedema and lymphedema. This one is a fear of abandonment that has manifested into the family's genetic makeup. Issues arising from the syndrome can be lessened by believing we are worthy of love and support. Hormonal imbalances, which generally drive lipedema, and unable or unwilling to adapt to changes seemingly out of our control. Leg pain, belief we are not being allowed to live up to our potential. Spider veins, wishing we were someplace, anyplace else and feeling stuck to make changes. Pain in general is guilt, and guilt always seeks punishment. And finally, the last one I pulled out was varicose veins, standing in a situation you hate, discouragement, feeling overworked and overburdened. So I would love to know if any of those resonate with any of you, because I find it really fascinating. When I get a bit stuck and I don't seem to be moving forward, I always turn to those kinds of things because they can simply tweak or trigger a thought process or another way for me to work on my inner health, so that I can move forward, right? And if we're not working on our inner health and our, mindset and emotional self, then we can't fix all the things that we have got going on for us. And I find it really fascinating that so many people sort of, oh, no, no, that doesn't work. But then the next thing they say, I feel this, I feel pain, I feel. So it's the feelings, right? We've got to address the feelings. I say this time and time again, and not many people like it. And fair enough, right? Who wants to face their freaking feelings? Nobody does. But if there's one thing I've learned over the years, that you don't have to go full on into it. There are so many easy little ways to go into it, to start facing your demons. Writing letters. I can't even tell you how many times I've written letters to myself, to other people, and burned them in my burning bowl, right? I have finally got my burning bowl sorted out here in Bangkok, which I'm very excited about. I did a test burn yesterday. And so now I can get back to burning my balances, which I'm very, very excited about. Um, so that's a really, really simple way of starting the inner work, right? Write letters to whoever and burn it, and know that when you've burned it, it's gone. But those things that I just read out, if any of them resonate with you, take that one that you think, oh, that triggers you, even if it makes you angry. If something makes you angry or triggers you in some way, that's what you've got to work on. It's like over the years, I've found with naturopathic clients that if there's a food that they get really upset about, me saying you should not be eating that, or how much of that do you eat, or what's your favorite food, there's always this indignation and like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's really healthy food, and it's all I have, and you can see the look. If something triggers you like that, that's something you've got to look at, right? And I think that's one of the things as people that we need to be more aware of, is that anything that triggers us, there's something there that has to be healed. There's something there that we have to look at and pull apart and untangle. And it's not pleasant, and it's not easy, and it's not nice. But with things like lipedema and chronic diseases, and just for our, feeling of happiness and joy, which, I just read out a whole bunch of things that all added up to not enough happiness and joy in our life, right? Then we've got to let go of some of these things, and we've got to understand why we're holding on to them in the first place. So, I've gotten really good over the years at wanting to face my demons. I never used to, hated it, would ignore it. But now I'm like, no, give it to me. Tell me the worst. Let me see it head on, right? Because then that's kind of like doing the physical thing. Once you know what triggers you, or what you have an issue with, well, then you can do something about it. But if you just ignore it completely and try and push it deep down and not address it, then you're never going to know what you need to work on. So that's just my random thoughts for this weekend, because I really, really want people to start working on their emotional stuff. We can all do the physical stuff. We can remove the processed foods. We can ditch the oils. We can, eat the anti-inflammatory things, go high keto, go high carnivore, whatever it is. We can all do that. But we can only do it for a set period of time, until those emotional triggers start telling us, no, 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 you're not good enough. No, 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 that's not bringing you joy. No, 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 whatever it is for you, right? So I really would like to spend a lot of time trying to encourage people to face that stuff, because once you face it, it's not nearly as bad as you think it is. And we all have it. Right? We all expect each other to be perfect, but none of us are perfect, which is really funny. And we expect ourselves to be perfect, yet we're human beings. We are not perfect by nature. so all of you out there watching that is blaming yourselves for your lipedema and blaming yourselves for all these sorts of things, I highly encourage you to turn that off for a little while and look at the other things that you're blaming yourself for. because I'm willing to bet it's not actually lipedema, it's other things. And there's some things in there that you can let go of, and maybe then the pain won't be so bad with your disease. So that's all I'd like to encourage you to do this week. And again, if you've watched this through on the replay and you want to, dig through my books via me, of what your strange symptoms are and what they might mean metaphysically. Just it's kind of like tarot, right? It's just kind of fun and interesting to look at it from a different perspective. Yeah, write it in the comments, and I will tell you what they mean from all the books that I've got and all the different things that I follow, and see if anything resonates with you. Because bottom line is, I want you to feel good and I want me to feel good. So I found that this is a way to actually feel good. You got to go through the crappy shit. Everybody does. But it's also the way to feel good in the end. So I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will catch up with you next Sunday. Bye.